So present, but I just listened to some of the things that you said, Nina, regarding the system perhaps being rigged or as it is designed somehow unfair. And I have to be honest with you, a lot of what you just said, including the pivot to the media not covering this instead of that, sounded very familiar to me. It sounds like a lot of things we heard from Donald Trump when he thought he wasn't going to secure the nomination. A lot of things that Katrina Pearson, his spokeswoman, had come on this show and said regarding criticism of the tone of some of Trump's supporters and the notion that because he wasn't winning or he was worried he wouldn't secure the nomination, that the process was rigged, a process that was in place before Senator Sanders decided to run, or the process that he agreed to upon running.
Well, Tamron, I mean, that doesn't mean that the process shouldn't be changed. I think we're confusing issues here. The fact of the matter is that Senator Sanders' office was shot up. Okay, shot up. Not just voicemail, but shot up. There is a responsibility to disavow that kind of behavior as well. That's all I'm saying. There is no way in the world that...
Do you know who shot up the office? As you just said, you don't know if it's the Bernie Sanders supporters who were carrying out some of the violence in Nevada. Are you implying that this was somehow Hillary? I mean, you bring it up, so I'm asking you. Who do you think is responsible then? Was it ignored? Was it not investigated? You've thrown it out there, so I'm going to hand it back to you to explain who you believe is responsible. Did the police drop the ball? Are they not properly investigating it? Were there charges? Did the Senator Sanders campaign office file complaints there? What happened?
What violence, though, Tamron? People want to keep talking about that there was violence at that convention. What violence? Now, those threats are totally unacceptable.
So there were chairs thrown, or in the video shows some of that?
Tamron, all I can do is speak to how when I was in the room,
So then you can't say that there was no violence. You're saying you didn't witness. There's a difference. There's a difference in saying that you didn't witness it and that it just did not happen.
What I am saying, I'm only going to speak to what happened when I was in the room. Now, but there is video footage of someone picking up a chair, and it's online right now, and a gentleman walking by that person, putting that chair down and hugging it out. All I'm saying is that the threats to the chairwoman were absolutely wrong, totally unacceptable. Those folks should come forward and they should apologize. But in terms of violence happening in that room, it's a difference between people being treated unfairly and voicing their opinion about being treated unfairly, or in terms of what happened in that room, and now all of a sudden to have people just overlay over the entire convention that Senator Sanders supporters somehow have a propensity for violence. Quite frankly, I see that as Nevada Democratic Party just covering their behind, because they did not carry out in that room. That room was not handled properly. What was going on in that room was not handled properly, Tamron.
Back to this shooting that you've brought up this hour, and reading one of the reports from the Weekly Standard. This came after Bernie Sanders released a statement on Tuesday saying that these shots were fired at his Nevada campaign office and that an apartment housing complex that his campaign staff lived in was broken into and ransacked. Senator Sanders made this statement in response, as you know, to criticism made against his campaign organization. I have the full statement here now. The police have investigated this. They did not find, according to what I have here, and this may not be the most updated, but I'm being told it is, that there was no bullet found. And if an office is shot up, it's at least right here, this information, and I will prepare to correct it if this is what I have that's wrong, was not found. And so what do you know differently than I'm reporting now or that I've been provided?
I mean, I went to that office. I saw the bullet holes in the glass in the window, so I'm not sure what the police found. But the bottom line is this: Senator Sanders did not come out. He did not say, he didn't blame that on Secretary Clinton or her folks or her supporters. He did not do that. And so what I am saying here is that Senator Sanders and his supporters are being unfairly maligned. People at that convention are grown, Tamron. They're not children. Senator Sanders is not their father.
Well, that could be said about Donald Trump. I mean, even though his rhetoric certainly does not match anything we've heard from Bernie Sanders, not even close.
Not at all.
There were some at the time, and you and I both know, who said, well, these are individuals who were acting out. Senator Sanders has not been accused of any incendiary comments like Donald Trump, but the pivot to people are grown and you can't be responsible. Let's talk more maturely, though, about the party and the unity of the party, whether Senator Sanders is going to fight it out to the very end, which is certainly his choice, and that is the route he is going. the potential problem with party unity if he somehow becomes the nominee or if Hillary Clinton becomes the nominee. How do these sides come together? At some point, someone will be the presumptive nominee of the party.
Well, that's true, Tamron, but everybody has a responsibility. Senator Sanders has been saying from the beginning all along, we can go back and roll the tape, even before the incident in Nevada happened, which I do agree with our campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, that this is an isolated incident with one party. But people have been conducting themselves with the utmost of respect. But just because people voice their disappointment with the process does not make them violent. Now, in terms of the party coming together, there is responsibilities on all sides. But folks are not. This is a disruption election on the left and the right. And when I say disruption, I don't mean in a violent way, because again, violence cannot, or threats of violence cannot be tolerated. But people are not, Tamron, just going to simply roll over the way that some leaders think. They're going to have to earn and win over these folks.
Votes that Hillary Clinton has earned. I mean, there seems to be a negating of the facts when it comes to that. When Bernie Sanders, and I'll specifically ask you, when he says have an open system and that it is not fair, how do you open the system when you decided this is the game of football and now you want to change it to soccer? The rules have been in place. The game is on. You're in the last inning. If I can use another sports analogy, I might fall out of this chair. But you're in the last inning. What about the votes that Hillary Clinton earned? And how then at this point do you open it in a way that Senator Sanders would agree to? I'm curious of the specifics here beyond the rhetoric. We can use 1,000 words, but what do you mean open, and what about Hillary Clinton's votes?
I mean, what about her votes? She earned certain votes, and he's earned certain votes.
Does she have more votes than he has?
Well, it's obvious she had more people have voted for her. But the process is not over, Tamron.
It is not. I'm asking you, though, where things stand right now and where the math is right now.
But see, this is not just about math, and I think that's what's missing in this entire debate. If we distill this down to only math...
Should Senator Sanders run as an independent? Should he now, at this point, because it appears from your passions, his supporters' passions, some of those who've said never Hillary, are there discussions behind the scenes if the math doesn't matter to you and it appears the math will be on her side? Is the campaign considering Senator Sanders running as an independent?
Now, Tamron, I never said the math didn't matter. I just said this race is bigger than that. People really care about their future.
So if it's bigger than math, is it now time for the campaign to consider Senator Sanders running as an independent if it's bigger than the math and it's more about a movement, a message, and a so-called rigged system? Is the solution an independent run?
That's up to Senator Sanders. He has never
What do you say? What do you believe?
No, it's his, Tamron, I'm not on the ballot. It is his decision. But what I will is that people are hurting in this nation, and they're looking for leadership that will stand up no matter what. And Senator Sanders has proven that he is that kind of leader, going up against Wall Street, talking about universal health care, talking about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour to lift people in this country. And that, Tamron, is what is attracting folks to Senator Sanders. And there are some people who are attracted to him who don't have a party loyalty necessarily. It really is about him and his movement and his mission.
So if that's the case, if there are some who don't have a party loyalty, and I'm not saying you're one of those, but...
I've been a lifelong Democrat, Tamron. I know they want to try...
But that doesn't mean you have to vote for the Democratic nominee if it's Hillary Clinton. So I'll ask you, with the message that you believe is not in play, would you vote for Hillary Clinton if she's the nominee?
I'm going to say what I've said every time somebody has asked me that question, that as long as the candidate that I am supporting, and that's Senator Bernie Sanders, is in this race, I'm not making a decision on that. I want him to be the nominee to become the next president of the United States of America. So I'm not even there yet. We will see what happens in July.
I think that was a fair answer 3 months ago. I'm going to say I don't think it's one now, but I'm going to be the first to ask you. I'll let you pivot on it. All right. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Not a pivot, Tamron.
All right.